All right, welcome back to the last part of the scientific method that we're going to be covering here. We've learned how to ask a question. We've done our background research. We've made our hypothesis. We've tested with an experiment. Our procedure worked great, and we went ahead and we analyzed our data and drew conclusions. And now it's time for us to communicate our results with the public in some way. Okay, because it's not good for us just to hoard the information that we have spent so much time researching and coming up with. We don't want to hoard that to ourselves. We want to share that with the world, and we'll have an opportunity to do that with our science fair experiments here at the end of the semester. And each of the different experiments that we do in class, we'll have the opportunity to share out the results with our classmates, and even hang them up in the hallway possibly. So let's go ahead. So communicating findings is ethically and effectively is really essential. So we don't want to be like those poorly drawn graphs that we've seen in previous slides, or be similar to what's in the media and share information that's dissuading or potentially incorrect or could be interpreted different ways. We want to create and communicate content that is easy for consumers and scientists alike to understand and synthesize, while also being ethical in the way that we do that. Okay, the public craves information that is accurate and backed by scientific data. Unfortunately, a lot of us find ourselves trapped on our social media platforms, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatnot, looking at BuzzFeed quizzes or those top 10 reasons that so and so is bad for your health and things like that. None of those really generally are backed by scientific information, especially during this pandemic. There's a lot of misinformation that's out there. So it's important that we, when we communicate our own results and our own information to the public, that we're using and upholding ethical standards. Okay, so kind of brainstorm to yourself some different ways and reasons why we might want to communicate our results. Hit pause, think about that. We'll come back here and share some of those. So one of them that comes to mind for me for why we want to communicate is simply because we went through all of the work of researching and doing this work ourselves. So by sharing our information and putting it into the big scientific community and pool of knowledge, we are better able to save work and save time for other people who might be wondering the same thing or asking the same question. So they're not quote unquote wasting their time replicating the results that you've gathered in your experiment. Not to say that it's bad to redo somebody's experiment or look at something a little bit differently, but it's good that we communicate our results so that other people can benefit from them. Okay. There are many potential communication channels we can tap into. Some of them are online and in print. There's some online ways that we can share information or share what we've gathered in our research is social media campaigns, online research databases and websites. Maybe if we're more into print media, we can share our results with the local media, or via flyers and brochures. And obviously, too, we have in person, and this is the one that we're probably the most familiar with. That can involve class presentations, research symposiums, and the FFA Agri-Science Fair. That's pretty much the gist of different ways that we can communicate our results. And our communication strategy varies quite honestly with the medium that we select. Obviously, if we choose to do a class presentation, we might be able to go into a little bit more detail than we would if we were to post an infographic or post a little image of our results on Twitter or on Instagram, because we're limited by our character count. We want it to be succinct. So our class presentations might be able to be a little bit more lengthy, or our research paper itself is probably going to be quite a few pages and very detailed compared to our class presentation or a simple infographic that captures the key results. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and complete that last part of our case study, part 6. Once you are done, you're going to want to share that with me so I know that you have completed it. And if you have any questions, please let me know. And as we go through this semester, I strongly encourage you just to think simply about how you are going to utilize the scientific method in your Agri-Science Fair experiment, and also how you can utilize the scientific method in your everyday life, because each and every one of us asks lots of questions each day. And whether it's something small like why your brother or sister snores, or whether it's something that might be a little bit more complex, like why leaves change colors the way they do and when they do. These are all questions that can be answered using the scientific method. And in class, we actually go through a little bit more examples of that. But in this online format, I just encourage you to take some time, think about those, and maybe send me an email if you have any questions or any ponderings or thoughts on this. So thanks again for your attention, and have a great rest of your day.